Hey everyone, I'm back with another video. I think these have been pretty lighthearted to date, but today's going to be a little different because we're dealing with a more serious topic of did Mark Schwahn ruin One Tree Hill? And here are the questions that I want you to consider. Can you love the creation and hate the creator? Can you support the art without supporting the artist? These are questions that have been on my mind for the last 3 years since we found out that Mark Schwahn, the creator of One Tree Hill, who served as the showrunner for all 9 seasons, was sexually harassing several of the cast members behind the scenes. This came to light in 2017 when a staff writer for the show named Audrey Wauchope, and I think I butchered her last name and I apologize for that, tweeted a thread. This was during the height of the Me Too movement, where she detailed the harassment that she's experienced in the writer's room of an unnamed television show. But because she was a staff writer on 2 shows and she didn't want to throw the one show that treated her well under the bus, she said it wasn't Cougar Town. Well, if it's not Cougar Town, the only other show it could have been was One Tree Hill. And after her long Twitter thread, Hilarie Burton, Sophia Bush, and Bethany Joy Lenz all tweeted their support for her. That was just the beginning. They then released a letter, and it was signed by 18 cast and crew members, all female, of One Tree Hill, where they detailed some of Mark's misconduct. And I'm going to read a little bit of that letter right now because I think it's really important. They said, Mark Schwann's behavior over the duration of the filming of One Tree Hill was something of an open secret. Many of us were, to varying degrees, manipulated psychologically and emotionally. More than one of us is still in treatment for post-traumatic stress. Many of us were put in uncomfortable positions and had to swiftly learn to fight back, sometimes physically, because it was made clear to us that the supervisors in the room were not the protectors they were supposed to be. Many of us were spoken to in ways that ran the spectrum from deeply unsettling to traumatizing to downright illegal. And a few of us were put in positions where we felt physically unsafe. More than one woman on our show had her career trajectory threatened. That was also just kind of the tip of the iceberg, because after that, Hilarie and Danneel Harris did an interview with Variety where they both gave in great detail testimony about the unwanted sexual advances that they received from Mark, how it affected their careers. And 2 other people on the writing side were quoted as well giving testimony about Mark's inappropriate behavior. One of them was a male writer who found Mark's behavior objectionable. And basically we learned that behind the scenes of this show that we loved for 9 years, it wasn't always a happy place. And it wasn't always a place of warmth, and it wasn't always a place of safety. And it makes you look at things that happen on screen in a different light. So now that we know that Mark harassed Hilarie for years and made unwanted advances, how do we consider the fact that we know that she was his muse and Peyton was the character that he loved most? So much so that he wrote himself into the show as a character named Max, who only shares scenes with Peyton. Or how do we consider that early on in season 1, Sophia Bush did a scene where she takes her shirt off and her bra off in the back of Lucas's car. Now, obviously, a lot of television shows are risque. A lot of teen dramas are risque, but it paints things like that in a certain light. You wonder, what really was the motivation for something like that? Was it to show some kind of aspect of Brooke's character and her personality? Was it titillating for the sake of being titillating? Or was it for some guy behind the scenes trying to think of a non explicit way of setting it, but to get his, jollies in because it brought him some sick pleasure to watch an actress do that on screen. I don't know. And I just find myself grappling with the fact that we love this show, but it was created by someone who was really horrible. And he wasn't just horrible in One Tree Hill. He went on to be horrible on The Royals, which, like One Tree Hill, he created and was the showrunner for. And after the women of One Tree Hill spoke out, so did the women of The Royals. And they revealed that they, too, were subject to ongoing harassment from Mark. And it ultimately led Mark being fired from The Royals, and essentially no one has heard from him since. He is apparently such a coward that he has never released a statement publicly apologizing for what he did to these innocent women. But the plus side is that he has not worked again in Hollywood in a way that's justice to me. That is not someone who deserves a second chance if he's not willing to show any public steps towards remorse or rehabilitation. I'm glad his career is effectively over. But I think, unfortunately, even so, it's a trauma that these actresses have to carry around with them. And I think in some ways it's a burden for fans as well. In some ways, I think you can love One Tree Hill just as much as you did before. But at the same time, maybe in the back of your head, you're being reminded that some of these things, especially the scenes that were more on the gratuitous side, were created by someone really shady. Of course, this is not the first time there's been a dilemma like this in pop culture. The first thing that comes to mind is Michael Jackson and all the allegations and accusations of his behavior over the years. He was accused multiple times of molesting young boys. And for some people, that has really turned them off of his music. When a Michael Jackson song comes on the radio, I have this moment where I freeze and I'm like, should I be listening to this? Because something about it feels wrong. At the same time, though, there's a huge fan base of Michael Jackson fans who not only, continue to listen to his music, but actively fight back against accusations and what they see as unfair attempts to malign his legacy. The New York Times even did a full feature on this group of fans that think Jackson can do no wrong and that anyone who dares say otherwise is like the enemy. Another example would be Woody Allen. Woody Allen was accused by his daughter Dylan of sexual molestation. Those allegations were supported by Dylan's brother Ronan Farrow and his mother, the actress Mia Farrow. Woody has for years denied those accusations, but they've continued to dog his career. So much so that a number of actors and actresses in recent years have expressed regret for working with him, for essentially saying, we don't care what Woody may have done, even if he sexually molested his daughter, we're going to work with him anyway. And so a lot of people have apologized for that, and it raises the question of, are you comfortable seeing a Woody Allen movie? Does it change the way you view his classics like Annie Hall? A more recent example, I am blanking on what it was. Let me just check my notes right here. Yes, how can I forget? I have Harry Potter on in the background right now, and I forgot that the most recent example is J.K. Rowling, or Rowling, depending on how you say it. I never get it right. She has made some pretty offensive comments in the last 2 years that are transphobic. And it has been very uncomfortable for the Harry Potter fan base. Something that the books and movies of Harry Potter teach you is that they're messages of inclusivity. It doesn't matter whether you're a mudblood or a half-blood or a full breed. Everyone is worthy and equal and deserves love and so on and so forth. And this is the message this iconic author imparted to children for so many years. And now she is very outspoken about people who have a different gender identity than the sex that they were assigned at birth. And it's been really upsetting. And again, the New York Times did a story on Harry Potter fans grappling with this and, you know, loving this world that this person created and finding out that they're not the person that you thought they were. So I ask again, did Mark reign One Tree Hill? I mean, obviously the quick answer is no. You know, we're still going to love these characters, love these stories, but it's weird knowing the type of person that created them. And so, can we love the creation while hating the creator? Can we support the art without supporting the artist? Do we love One Tree Hill because of Mark, because of what he created? Or do we love One Tree Hill in spite of Mark? Do we love it despite the awful things that were going on behind the scenes? These are just some questions that have been on my mind for quite some time. I wrote a longer essay about it that I will put in the links below if you want to check it out. And I'd really love to hear people's thoughts. I know it's a very difficult topic, and I know that this subject can be triggering for some people. So if anybody is comfortable, you know, sharing their perspective, that's wonderful. But if there's no comments, I'll understand that too. It's a really sensitive subject, but it was something that I thought was really important to address as a One Tree Hill fan and as someone who considers themselves a student of the teen drama genre. So as I said, I know this isn't a cheerful topic and it's not a happy subject to discuss, but I think it's something that we can't ignore either. So thanks for taking the time to check this out.